Hey everyone, this is George Soto and you're watching Startups Unedited. Hey everyone, this is George Soto with Soto Ventures. Hope all is well. I'm broadcasting live from San Francisco. You guys all know this is my my little bedroom here. I'm here today with Matt Hubert, who is the co-founder, CEO of Bitmatica, and a good buddy of mine. We also play music together. Matt, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man.
Okay.
You know, it's a Monday night.
Yeah.
Here in San Francisco, we just jammed out a little bit.
What better time?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So today we actually wanted to talk a little bit about, how to launch a startup, really, right? When we specifically an internet or software-based startup.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say are some of the early things that I should be thinking about if I'm someone who has an idea, or I'm an engineer, right? And I'm starting to think about, hey, what kind of business can I build? What should I be thinking about?
Sure. So, I think one of the things that we teach and we help a lot of our customers with is figuring out what you should be building and really narrowing that down to who's going to use it and why are they going to use it. And I think that why is missing from a lot of people, and when they really start out with something, they have this cool idea like, it would be great if I built this thing, but they don't think about who's going to be using it specifically and why are they going to care. Because, there are 1,000 new apps every day. Why are they going to use mine?
Yeah. And how do you go from that, idea to being able to focus on a very specific type of user?
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing that needs reiterating is you need to be focusing on one specific user. And that, I think, a lot of people say, oh, my idea is going to be useful for everybody. It's going to be the everything app. It's going to be the everyone app. And, if Facebook can do it, why can't I do it? And that's great when you're, a multi-billion-dollar company, but we all have to start somewhere. And that somewhere is with that first user, that first single person who really falls in love with your product. And how do you do that? Well, it's not science. It's just kind of picking something and trying it. You try. We like to take a scientific approach to it. And so, if I'm going to build a new, let's say I'm going to build a food delivery app, instead of delivering all different types of food to all different types of people, I think about delivering one type of food to one type of person, and I think about why they would use my app over, say, the 10 other food delivery apps out there.
In your opinion, and this may be, a lot more complex to answer, but how do you start to think about what the total addressable market is for your app if you're just focused on one user of that total,
Sure.
Within that total addressable market?
Yeah, it's hard. For sure, to think about what is our total addressable market as a product, and you can think about what is the total addressable market within this space. So if you take Uber, it's like, well, how many people are going to want taxis in their lives? And that's great, but if you think about Uber's plan for why they're worth $60+ billion, it's not just about taxis. They're banking on a total addressable market of people who want things delivered. So it's not just people who want to ride, but people who want food, who want a package. So you can dream big, and you should dream big about all those things that your app could do, your product could do down the road. But I think it's important to not lose sight of that, because a lot of that you're not going to figure out until you get moving.
Well, one of the things, and that's a great example, I think Uber started with one city, right?
Yeah, that's
they
right.
Were targeting
not just one city, one area of one city.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. They didn't start with just San Francisco. They started with just the financial district.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
Yeah. And now you're talking about starting off offering private cars in the financial district, and then transitioning into really ride sharing and everything else that it's done, and then the future of delivery.
Right.
So now you're talking about, but they started with one very specific user type.
That's right, one very specific user type. And one thing that I think is amazing, and this is something that you should definitely think about if you're building a two-sided marketplace, which Uber did. So building a two-sided market's really hard if you think about like UberX, which marries drivers with passengers. So in order to pull that off, you need both drivers on the platform and passengers on the platform. And you have to both be there at the same time, because if I'm a passenger, there are no drivers, forget it.
Yeah.
And if I'm a driver, there are no passengers, forget it.
Yeah.
So you need both at the same time. Well, Uber had a brilliant idea, and they said, guess what? There's an existing network of black car drivers who already are signed up. They're already driving around these black cars. They're licensed and everything. We don't need any additional drivers. They already exist. We just need passengers. So they struck a deal with the black car drivers that were already there, and they said, can we give you a new method of people calling you up for rides? They said, yeah, of course, why not, right? And so they had that. So all they needed to do is have an app that said, you want a black car? Boom, touch of a button. Previously, you had to pick up the phone, you had to talk to some hotel concierge. Now one button from your phone. They turned a two-sided market and they made it a one-sided market, and that's how you get that off the ground.
So why don't you pass the guitar real quick? And this part of the show is called Will the Startup Suck or Not? Okay?
I love it.
All right. So here's the idea, okay? It's 4 salons.
Okay.
Okay? And so I'm sitting there the other day, and I go into the salon, and and I'm hanging out, and I started chatting with the salon owner, and I said, she just launched the salon down the street on Union Street, right? And so it's just her.
Yeah.
And but then she had like 10 other stations that were open.
Sure.
And I said, so is your business, like leasing these stations?
Right.
And she says, yeah. I said, oh, great. Well, I said, what how do you get your, what are they called? The dressers, or
sure, the hairdressers.
The hairdressers.
Yeah,
there you go. The designers, etc.
Right.
Whatever. And she says, well, they, through the network and through whatever, people walking by, etc.
Sure.
So I said, so I thought to myself, I said, man, you know what? What if there was some sort of marketplace?
Yeah.
To help, like the Airbnb of that, because apparently,
So hairdressers will just walk around looking for a spot to lease out for a little bit of time?
That's exactly what happens, I guess. They have these traveling people.
Sure.
But then it also, I think they do lease these things. The hairdressers will rent them for, whatever,
sure,
a period of time.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Do you get it so far?
Yeah, I get it.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it actually has potential if you do it right. So it's another two-sided market which has its problems, which means, if I'm a hairdresser, so I think about, again, the why. So it's like, all right, if I'm a hairdresser, why would I use this? Well, it's because if the assumption is true that today the way I find business is I, kind of call up salons and say, hey, do you have any free chairs, or whatever the situation is, especially if I'm bouncing around, then this could potentially give me an easier way to also not, and I'm not super familiar with the market, but compare not only what's available, but also what I can get paid. Because I imagine chairs have a rental fee, and then you have an average clientele that you're taking in. So you could theoretically be making more money from certain types of salons. So what if I could, take out my phone and see, what's available right now? Where can I be cutting? Now, I don't think it's that fungible. Like you can't. I don't imagine hairdressers like when I get my haircut, they work at maybe 2 salons, and they have a chair. They're there for like 3 days a week. They're not moving around. But I would say just for, if there was like a series of large salons in the country, like starting with a group that has chairs available somewhat typically, then if I were sort of trying to start this company, I would work with just them and say this is a way to book just their chairs. That's removing one side from the equation, and now we just have an application for hairdressers.
Like maybe like celebrity hairdressers or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Exactly.
Huh.
And then if that works, then you can expand your network of salons.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I have another second question from our audience. So, same premise here. Yeah. VR for travel.
Well,
And thank you to the audience member who
tweeted at us.
Tweeted at us.
VR for travel.
Yes.
That could work. We already have Street View. We already can travel from our computers. Why not put it on our heads? I think we need to see some more VR penetration. One of the problems is no one has a VR headset. So we have to wait. A lot of people are very bullish about VR. They're building a lot of VR startups and things like that. I think that's cool, but it's it's people get always worried about being too late. You have to worry about being too early as well. Yeah. Because you don't have an unlimited runway. If you only have a year of runway and funding to make it or break it, I would say now is not the time for a VR startup. I think you need to wait.
Yeah, I think I agree. The one thing that I have been able to identify over the years were these like trends, or these like sort of early versions of stuff.
Right.
Like, and you don't quite see the first version really hit critical mass.
Yeah.
Right. Or hit the mass.
Yeah.
Right. But then like 2 or 3 iterations after.
Yep.
It's like it takes off, right?
Absolutely.
The iPod, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So I think like Google Glass, for example.
Great example. Yeah. I mean, it's going to take a few iterations. The iPod, that was like, the 25th MP3 player to hit the market, but it took a little while. Yeah. Sega, the company known for being the first at everything and failing every single time. But they were awesome. Everything they did was great, but it was always too early.
It was too early.
It's not about being too early or too late. It's about being just right.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't rush into VR. I mean, most people can't name a single friend that has a VR headset right now.
Yeah.
At least I can't. And we're in San Francisco.
Well, Matt, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Thanks for playing the game.
Yeah.
And thanks for bestowing your experience and wisdom on us.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
So if we wanted to follow you on social media, what's your Twitter handle?
You can find me at Acclimat, ACLIMATT, and also at Team Bitmatica.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Cheers.